A lot of times we talk about ghosting when it comes to romantic relationships, but let's talk about ghosting in friendships.
Hey everyone, welcome back to No Way Sis. Welcome. It's your girl Miss Kafue, and today we are diving into one of the most painful experiences anyone can go through. Being ghosted by your best friend. The other time I did a video of being ghosted by a romantic partner, and I love how you guys responded to it. So I thought this time, let me do a video about being ghosted by a best friend, because we don't normally talk about this enough. So what happened to friendship, guys? What happened to friendship? I thought friendships are supposed to be our safe haven. But what happens when your closest friend disappears without a trace? What happens then? So we are going to watch some clips that I compiled where a few ladies share their stories of being ghosted by their friends, and these stories are they're really sad, but they're also interesting, and they also teach us something. And then you'll see some women who are the ones who ghosted their friends at the end of the video, and they explain why. So let's get into it, and then I'll give my take later in the videos. You know how we do it over here, ladies. So without getting too deep into the video, please subscribe to this channel so that you cannot miss another video. Over here, we do very interesting content. If you're not subscribed, I don't understand what you're waiting for at this point, by the way. Don't be a hater. So anyway, enough of my craziness. Let's dive right in.
A lot of times we talk about ghosting when it comes to romantic relationships, but let's talk about ghosting in friendships. Let's just say you have a friend who has a habit of disappearing for months at a time. They don't return calls, they don't return texts, nothing. Then when they reappear, they act like nothing ever happened. They don't even explain what happened. They don't even apologize for the fact that they never got back to you. They just literally act like it wasn't that big of a deal. Even if something tragic happened, even if it's a few days later, it takes less than a minute to send a text message. I don't care what you're going through. If you still posting on social media, you can get back to your friend. It's the fact that you don't value the friendship. It's the fact that you don't respect your friend. So, with that being said, stop giving access to wishy-washy friends. Stop letting people play with your time. And most importantly, stop making excuses for people.
You know how people say, if you have that friend who you're always the one doing the reaching out, you're the one checking in, saying, hey, how are things going? How are you doing? You just stop reaching out and wait for them to come to you. It's really sad when you do that and you just never hear from them again. I mean, usually you kind of know the outcome if you're the one always reaching out, but it still is really saddening to see it happen. And this is a specific scenario, and I mean, please, nobody needs to be on social media, but when they also just kind of drop off the face of the earth on everything, it's even harder because you just kind of, there's someone that you used to know what they were doing, you used to know how they were, and you just kind of realize, I'm never going to hear from them again. I'm not going to know how things turn out for them. I don't know if I'm just overly nostalgic, but I have a hard time letting go of people and letting go of at least even just knowing how people are doing. I don't know.
Okay, this has definitely happened to me before. And when it has happened to me, I always ask myself, did I do something to make them upset? But most of the time, I just would text them and be like, hey, did I do something? Because that's the thing. We all do things to our friends that they don't agree with. But your friends should have respect for you to be like, hey, you did this to me, and this is why I'm kind of distancing myself, instead of her just completely ghosting you and not talking to you. Especially if you're saying that that's your best friend. When my friend growing up would do this to me, she did it out of a more of she had control over me, and I hate having problems with my friends. And it's one of those growing up, I would be like, oh my god, what did I do? I'm so sorry. And I would pretty much beg for her attention. attention back. Don't do that. Because then it shows them that, like, you know, they can walk all over you. Now, if a friend, like, ghosts me, if they don't give me a response of why they're upset, I'm at the point now where I can be like, okay, well, like, I have other friends and I can make other friends. But I have really good friends right now. Well, since I've been in college. But your friend should have that respect and maturity to tell you, like, hey, like, you did this, and that's it.
One thing we need to stop doing this year is blocking people for no reason. I mean, granted, if they've done something wrong, then block them, ghost them, do whatever the hell you want to do. However, it happened to me. And I personally feel like I did nothing wrong in this situation, but you might disagree, and I'm going to tell you the story time. So this happened to me a couple of years ago now, and obviously it involves a boy. All bad stories involve boys. So let's start at the beginning of when I met him. I met him at my 18th birthday party, and he was there because he's a very close friend of one of my family friends. And from that point on, we kind of became friends. Like, once we'd met, like, we'd hang out from time to time, and we'd kind of talk almost like every day. I genuinely thought of him as one of my, like, best friends. However, there was a little rumor going around that he had feelings for me, as there usually is when a girl has a friend who is a boy. So, being the type of person I am, I don't really like when people hint that they like you. I'm just gonna need you to tell me straight up. So because I am that way, and I wasn't gonna just take hints and listen to other people tell me that he liked me, nothing ever came of it. So then I moved to uni. Bearing in mind this whole time we were friends, like actual, real, proper friends, like, and we'd just become closer and closer and closer. So what comes of it is really fucking weird to me. So I'd been at uni for a couple of months now, and it was like a couple of weeks before I was going to come home for Christmas. I was on a night out, and me and him ended up having a conversation over the phone. Basically, the conclusion of this conversation was that we were going to give things a go. He'd finally admitted that he had feelings for me. We were going to see how it went, put no pressure on it. He said, I'll wait for you to finish uni if that's what you want, blah blah blah, anything that boys say ever. So I came home for Christmas, and call this crazy or whatever, but I remember every single date that these events happened on. I got home for Christmas on the 16th of December, and he did that classic boy thing of when girls get back from uni and now that you're home, I'm gonna have to see you, blah blah blah. Okay, so we had made plans for the following Thursday. His birthday was on the 20th, which was a Monday, and I wished him a happy birthday. We'd spoke all day, like fine and dandy, everything was normal. So on the Tuesday night, kind of like early morning on a Wednesday, I mean, if you're a uni student, you know your sleeping schedule is like fucked. I was going to bed at like 3 a.m. So anyway, I'm on my phone, and I like realized that he's blocked me on everything. I mean everything. Snapchat, Instagram, number, everything. Blocked. No contact, just none. I'm obviously like very confused. So I wake up in the morning and I tell my mum what's happened, and she messages him because he doesn't block my mum. He still is fine and dandy with my mum. It's just me for some reason, and I don't know what I've done. Bearing in mind this is all happening over Christmas, so it gets to Christmas Day, it gets to the day after, and then the 27th is when I get a text message and this huge explanation of why he can't be with me, he's met another girl, and all of this stuff that I had no idea about. In this text, he has the audacity to say, oh, I just didn't want to ruin your Christmas. Then don't block me in the first place. Thing is, if he had just messaged me and said, look, I've met someone else, I think it's going to work better with her, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings or whatever, I would have been so understanding. I would have backed off. I would have like not even spoken to him anymore. I just don't think in that situation I deserve to be blocked and ghosted. Personally, I don't think I did anything wrong, but you might have a different opinion.
Please don't be the kind of person that ghosts friends. Just don't do it. It is okay to break up with friends. I actually had to do this recently with a friend that was, you know, a really long-term friend from high school. So 10 plus years of close best friendship. And I thought about it for a really long time because the friendship was very like on and off, very up and down for a while. Pretty much the entire friendship was that way. And so I contemplated just breaking up with this friend for a really long time. It seemed like such a scary thought. Like, could I actually do this? Like, am I actually able and willing to like make this huge decision? I tried really hard, honestly, to make the friendship work. I tried having conversations with this person to let them know that, you know, I wasn't having my needs met in the friendship. And it just never really got better. And that's totally fine. I totally understand that sometimes people grow apart, but there's this kind of idea out there that people just naturally grow apart and that that's okay. I don't think it really is. I feel like everyone just owes it to each other to admit the truth when it comes to their relationship. And I think that's a way better way to do it than to just let things naturally fizzle out. So after a lot of thought, I ended up writing a text. And I wanted this text to be very clear, very close-ended, meaning I didn't want to leave much room for the person to respond. I just basically said the reasons why it wasn't working for me. I said that I did not wish to continue on with the friendship anymore, but that I wish them well, of course, always. The person respected that and appreciated my honesty, apologized for not having made a little bit more effort, which was really nice, and told me that they would be respecting the boundary. And yeah, I just wanted to share this because ultimately, although it was really hard, it wasn't as scary and it wasn't as serious as I made it out to be in my mind. Once I did it, I felt so much better. And I was just like, oh, that really wasn't too bad. And it felt really mature. It felt really grown. And it felt really good. It just felt like closure.
When people go ghost on you, this is one of the things that I have learned. Sometimes people are running from themselves. They're running from themselves. Everybody says they want something real until they meet somebody who wants them to be real honest, real sincere, really tell the truth, tell me where you really were, who is that really texting your phone. Everybody wants real until it's time to be real. And I've discovered sometimes people are running from themselves. And when they were with you, they stopped for a second. But you were so real that it was about to expose that they're fake. And as they looked over their shoulder, they saw that the real them was about to catch up. So I had to keep on running. And it just so happens that our heart ended up being the collateral damage of them running from themselves. But that really had nothing to do with you. That had to do more with them running from themselves. And also it had to do with God showing you this is not designed for discouragement. This is designed for direction. I have been.
What is a friendship lesson that you've had to learn the hard way as an adult?
If you have a friend that seems to have really distanced themselves, they're not texting you back, they're not asking you to hang out, they probably don't hate you, they're probably depressed. Someone who I once considered my best friend ghosted me for 2 years. And in those 2 years, I made up so many stories as to what I could have done wrong. I did start seeing a therapist, which was probably good for me in the long run. But when we finally spoke again, I found out that it had absolutely nothing to do with me. And don't get me wrong, the friendship trauma from that is so real. But over the last 8 months after having my baby, I have become so unbelievably avoidant that I've had multiple friends ask me if they have done something wrong. And the answer is the same every time. I am just overwhelmed with life. And your one text is actually 42 unread texts that I'll get to tomorrow, which becomes tomorrow, which becomes tomorrow. But I still love you.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. If you're at all familiar with female friendships, then you know that sometimes one way that women tend to manage conflict is by not managing it at all. I'm literally writing a book right now where I share the research behind why female friendships are more fragile than men's friendships. Obviously, still life-giving and still amazing and all those things, but paradoxically also very fragile. One of the reasons is because we're not equipped to handle conflict productively. Lack of healthy modeling, being told by society that difficult women aren't attractive, having a tendency to silently stack perceived offenses without giving voice to them until it becomes too much. We have to find a way to communicate our grievances with one another and have the security that it'll be received well and that we can move forward.
So I have a story time. I was ghosted by a close friend about 6 or 7 years ago, and we have been friends for about 6 or 7 years. And when I say ghosted, homegirl just stopped talking to me, stopped answering the phone, stopped responding to text messages. To this day, I have no idea what I did for her to respond this way. But what it did do was give me a crash course in enforcing your boundaries and not caring what somebody else feels about it. I felt owed an explanation, and she didn't feel like she owed me one. And that's okay, because it's her life and they're her boundaries, and whatever boundary I crossed, I have to respect the fact that she didn't want me around after that. I think too often we get caught up in what we feel we are owed from people, and so we feel like we owe people the same. And it's just, none of that is really a thing. Do what it takes for you to preserve your peace, because nobody has to live this life but you. Bye.
I used to be friends with someone for 10 plus years, and then she randomly ghosted me, and I'll never understand why. But I've talked to my therapist about this a lot, and she told me this piece of advice that kind of fucked me up, but was also necessary for me to hear. She said that sometimes you're friends with people for so long and you remind them about a time in their life that they haven't moved on from, but you have. She was like, first off, they haven't processed that time in their life, but not only that, to see you so far past that time in their life, it's a really hurtful reminder for them that they're not past it. So when she put into perspective like that for me, it did make a lot of sense as to why this friend that I had just randomly disappeared off the face of the earth, literally, and just stopped talking to me. But yeah, that bit of advice just kind of fucked me up, because I was like, nobody ever trains you on how to deal with a fucking friendship breakup, or how bad heartbreak feels after you lose a friend from that long, and how all they ever are now is really good fucking memories. And you have to mourn the loss of someone who's still alive. Yeah, it's really difficult.
It's if a guy ghosts you, whatever, it's not something that we haven't been through before. When a girl that you actually considered your friend, your sis, ghosts you out of nowhere, I feel that's a different type of hurt. And it's very, very hard to deal with those types of friendship breakups specifically. Surround yourself with people who actually want to be in your life, and let that be a reminder that you do have people who care about you and who love you, and that person did what they did for some reason. They had their reasons, and you have to let them go at the end of the day. You can't be sitting around sulking, wondering what happened, why. You're gonna drive yourself crazy, because most of the time these things don't make sense. So that's my advice, is find new people to surround yourself with.
I'm going to say something controversial, but don't get offended. Don't get offended. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with ghosting people. I don't. I feel often what happens is when someone gets ghosted, the ghoster probably has given you multiple signs, or has said something, or has hinted, I'm going to ghost you, I'm going to give up on you. And I'm talking about only friendship wise, not dating, because that's a whole nother story. I had a friend that every time I told her I wanted to do something, would always respond with, there's no way you can do that. You're going to fail. You're not going to be able to do it. Don't even try. I mean, every time. And this was a friend that I really did care about and appreciate and love. So I told her, I said, hey, I like the relationship that we have, but why does it always feel when I tell you things, you're a negative Nancy, and you tell me that I'm not capable of doing these things? It really didn't matter to her. In her mind, she thought that she was helping me by showing all the mistakes and errors and the ways that I wasn't going to succeed, or I wasn't going to make it. At a certain point, I knew this isn't going to work. I had told her enough times where she wasn't going to listen, and I couldn't have a friendship where someone didn't believe in me, and it was their goal to make sure that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to achieve things that I wanted to do. So I ghosted her, and that was the end of that friendship. I had another friend who was into girls. She would consistently hit on me, and I had made it very clear that I'm not into girls. I'm in a happy, full, healthy relationship, and I didn't like it, and it made me uncomfortable. And I told her, but she didn't seem to care. She kept making me uncomfortable, kept making flirty jokes, doing things that were just too much. And so I ghosted her. The thing about ghosting, I don't want to be the responsible person for pointing out all your major character flaws. That's not my role in life. Yes, I will ghost someone it's not working out, especially if I've communicated what the issue is and you still refuse to listen. I feel we all have that one friend that just refuses to take accountability, even when you communicate what you don't like and what you can't deal with. Not one that likes confrontation. And so in the event that I actually tell you and communicate you're doing something that I don't like, and then you don't respond, and you try to act like I'm crazy for saying I don't like something, it's a relationship that's not meant to happen. And yes, I will ghost you.
I feel you're devastated, maybe a little shocked, and rightfully so. I mean, losing a best friend can be traumatizing, and I'm not from a really close family, so my friends have always been the family I got to choose. They are closer to me than many family members, so I understand and empathize with how you feel. Now, I'm not proud of myself for doing this, but I ghosted a best friend of 26 years, and this occurred about 13 years ago. Although I'm not proud of myself for taking away the relationship without discussing it with her, I don't have any regrets. It was the only way to sever those toxic ties. And after much deliberation, I concluded that conversation wouldn't be a good idea, and it wouldn't have solved anything either. And I let her off the hook too, because she had some mental health issues, and I felt like a tough conversation might have triggered her. So I let go and I let God, and we parted ways peacefully without anyone being embarrassed or forced into an incredibly awkward situation. Now, I'm not saying that my situation is the same as yours, but there are similarities because long-term friendships end for a reason. Now, hard, cold truth, any friendship that ended in my world needed to end, otherwise it wouldn't have ended. Friendships aren't perfect, and I think that's why they're so much fun. But toxic friendships are actually dangerous. So if I were you, I would ask myself some questions. Why did your friendship last 15 years? Were your needs met in that friendship? How did you feel when you were around her? Did you feel empowered or disempowered? Relaxed? Frantic? Was it a healthy relationship or was it codependent? Now, whatever you identify, see if your other relationships have similar characteristics and patterns. Now, if you decide that these characteristics and patterns do not serve you well, you might be experiencing an energetic shift, and that's a good thing. So we change over time, and those changes bring about different energies. When our energy changes, we don't always stay compatible with the people who have been in our lives for extended periods, especially when the energy elevates. Another thing I want you to do is not to think positively about this. If you're hurt and upset, honor those feelings, be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, extend empathy to your friend so that you can forgive her in time. But don't force positivity. That's a dead-end street. Be honest with yourself and know that any ending is actually a new beginning, and maybe something positive is coming in because that door closed. Now, I appreciate you trusting me with this information, and I felt compelled to answer you because I've been through similar situations. Sometimes saying nothing at all is the greatest response we can receive. Now, at the time, it might feel like a curse, but usually it's a blessing in disguise.
So, ladies, I'm back to give my take on this video. So, I really agree with the lady who says that don't always be the friend that reaches out. By the way, if you don't reach out and stay silent, will your friend reach out to you, or will the friendship end? Like, that's a hard pill to swallow, and that's really something we should all think about. By the way, in the past, when I had some friends, right now I don't think I have those friends. I don't think I have like a best friend, like one of my friends who, if they ghosted me, like it will destroy me. I don't think I have that friend right now. I think in the past I was too attached to friendships, but nowadays I even thank God it didn't work out. Like, it's crazy when something doesn't work out. As long as it doesn't concern money, as long as it concerns people, I really always thank God it has never, like, it didn't work out. Like, I don't know, that's crazy. I think I healed too much. I don't know about you, but that's me. So, and then if a friend ghosts you and then they return, please never ask why they've done what they've done, or, oh, you are hurting me. Like, you have to recognize that this friend was not even mature enough to give you an explanation. And they'll always use this opportunity to abuse you even more. Now they'll know that, oh, she needs me. Like, it's the same way with men. Like, there's some people who are very abusive. And they're also bad women. Let's please point out that they're also very bad women. They're bad women who make men cry out here. But so they'll always use that as an opportunity to abuse you. So never make it seem as if it was a big deal. Just be like, oh, it's okay. Like, but don't let them back in. Let them stay ghost. Let them be the ghost they were. Let them enjoy being that ghost, because why are you coming back now? And they always come back when things are starting to show up for you. When things are starting to like work out in your favor. I don't know, but they always come back at that time. And when they come back, they usually have nothing to give you except pain, distress, their low vibrations. Like, that's the only thing they have to give you. So, and clearly, when they do this, it's clear they didn't value your friendship, so why bother? They didn't value you, they didn't respect you, so why bother? Why bother? Let me tell you a story. In the past, I thought about ghosting my own best friend. For a very long time, I told her to work on some things that I was not happy about. like things that even those closest to me will point out about her. And I really talk to her. I've really talked to her many, many times. I've told her, like, you have to change this because this is affecting our friendship. And then there are the types of friends who, when they get a man, they just disappear on you. I don't know, but I don't think that's good. I think we should invest in female friendship because our female friends are the ones who are left when everything is not working out with our romantic partners. And I don't say that you should invest in that friendship for that reason, but please, female friendships are really important, especially now in this world of decentering men. Female friendships are really important. So, like I was saying, I thought about ghosting my BFF. I told her to change, she didn't. And it is one of the most inconsistent friendships I've ever had. It's one of the most inconsistent friendships I've ever had. So, we've been friends for like, right now it's like 9 years, but there's some things I've recognized she's changed about the whole thing. And yeah, we just decided to just push it along because I couldn't just ghost her because there are times she's been there for me too, and I couldn't just downplay that. But those times, like those moments, were really hurting because, like, when you have someone constantly sabotaging your friendship, it makes you wanna just dip and go. And also, if a friend goes silent on you, don't be the type of person who nags them, oh, you have to talk to me, because at that point you'll just appear desperate. Like, don't be that problematic friend. And sometimes people choose, like I support the lady who says that sometimes people choose not to tell you about anything. Like in this situation is in the situation whereby you haven't made any wrong. Sometimes people will choose not to tell you anything because also some people can be very problematic. Some people, like, there are situations whereby the only answer you see is ghosting, and I don't blame those people. The only answer you see ahead of you is just ghosting that person. So, and also, even if people are going through their own things, don't make excuses for people. Don't make excuses for some people because you can't tell me you've been going through things for close to 6 months and never talk to me. Like, come on, 6 months? It shouldn't be more than, I think, the month mark or the 2 month mark. It shouldn't be more than that. You mean to tell me in months you didn't find 10 minutes to just talk to me if I'm your closest friend? Like, you have some tough questions to ask yourself. And I agree with the man who says that sometimes you become too real, that your realness exposes their fakeness and they're afraid. And this also applies to romantic relationship. Like sometimes when you're almost taking the last step, like the final step into your relationship of getting married, of doing this and this, or when you're getting too deep into the relationship, even before you get there, some people will actually tend to pull away because now you're too real. Like men only say they want real women, or even sometimes women say we want real men. But how ready are you for the real? Are you that real? Aren't you afraid their realness will expose your fakeness? Some people actually abuse you to just gaslight you because they don't want you to realize how fake they are actually. And another thing I've realized, by the way, most people lack the skills to manage conflict, especially us women. We were taught to be soft or don't be argumentative. Sijui nini. We were taught those crazy things which align to femininity, but at some point that has to come out. Like, it's healthy for every human being. There must be conflict, and you have to learn how to manage conflict in a healthy way. And nobody prepares you for a friendship breakup. So when it happens, you're just confused. You're just like, what should I do? Like, nobody prepares us for that. We are all prepared for romantic breakups, but a friendship breakup, no one prepares you for that. It can be devastating. It can be so devastating. I think even more than a relationship breakup or close to a relationship breakup, it can be so devastating, by the way. I've never been ghosted by a friend, but I can just imagine how that would feel. And something else I learned from this video, I like the lady who says that like sometimes a friend will ghost you because you remind them of a time whereby they haven't come out of yet. Maybe you grew from what you used to do. You know how friends, especially when we were young, we do crazy and stupid things. Maybe you grew from all that and maybe she didn't. And seeing you reminds her of how much she hasn't grown or how much she isn't making any progress. So jealousy creeps in, and before you know it, like, she can't really handle you. So she just has to ghost you. So that's another thing. Maybe you did nothing wrong. If you've been ghosted, my heart goes out to you. Maybe you did nothing wrong. And I also support the statement that is nobody owes you anything, but I also disagree with it for two reasons. Anyway, I say nobody owes you anything. I support it in the sense that it is good to walk around with the mentality that nobody owes you anything, to avoid having expectations from people, because people will always disappoint you, and to avoid being entitled to people's care, to people's explanations. Like, you'll be so much better if something like this happens. But I also disagree in this light that people owe you something. People owe you decency. People owe you respect. People owe you some things. And when you're close to people, there are those expectations. There are those expectations, by the way. We can't deny it. There are those expectations. But also, I also support the lady who says, do what you have to do to keep your peace of mind alive. Do what you have to do to maintain your peace of mind, because people can be very cunning and people can be out here on demon time, like just to ruin your peace. And without peace, by the way, there's nothing you can achieve in this world. You don't have power. Without peace, you lack power. And maybe it's time for a change, like see it as an opportunity for change. Find new people you can surround yourself with. Maybe at that time, your vibration isn't matching your friends and you need people who are actually on your high vibration. And when you start coming up, you lose a lot of friends, if you ever notice. Like when you start to grow mentally, you start to change certain things about you, you lose a lot of friends. So maybe it's time for a change. Find new people to surround yourself with. I also agree with the lady who says it's not your job to always point out the red flags or what they're supposed to change. You as an individual should be self-aware. Like there's some things that you do that you as an individual should also tell yourself, like, I need to change these, I need to change that, because if I don't, it will ruin the relationship. I know I'm talking too much, but this topic really got me and I really have to comment about it. So it's not your job to keep pointing out their flaws. And there are people who just never take accountability. You pointing out results to arguments, results to gaslighting, results to blame shifting. So some people just decide they won't deal with all that. I really also support the lady who says friendships aren't perfect, but toxic friendships are dangerous. What a statement. Like, friendships aren't perfect, but toxic friendships are dangerous. I really support that. You need to ask yourself from today, as we close the video, why has your friendship lasted so long? Is it because of you? Is it because only of your effort? Like, some people just want to be friends as long as the effort is coming from you. They don't put in any effort. And pay attention when you ask yourself that question and really reminisce about it. Pay attention to the cycles, to the characteristics, to the patterns, like what has actually kept your friendship alive. You really have to ask yourself those serious questions. And please don't force positivity in a situation that's already dead. Don't flag a dead horse. Don't force positivity. Be very honest with yourself while answering that question. And sometimes I think saying nothing at all is the greatest response you could give or you could receive in certain situations. I think saying nothing at all is the greatest response. And some people don't just ghost you for no reason. There must be something that you did, or maybe they don't know how to manage conflict. It could be, or maybe they don't wanna argue with you so that they can just come back as if nothing happened. It's either of those three reasons. So thank you so much for making it this far into the video. If you've been through something similar or have a story to share, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. So thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And ladies, also make sure to check out my new website and all my other videos. You can watch all my other videos or some of my other videos. So until next time, ladies, decenter these men, stay fabulous, treat yourself good, be happy, be on your A game. Yeah, like, do all that, take care of yourself. And then I'll see you in the next video. Bye.